Elementary school students in white lab coats serve steaming hot miso soup to their classmates with the precision of trained servers. Entire classrooms clean and disassemble their own lunch spaces in 4 minutes flat. A nationwide menu system coordinates meals so efficiently that nutritionists fly in from Stockholm, London, and Washington just to watch it happen. Japan has been running the same school lunch system since 1954, and instead of becoming outdated, it has become something other countries study, like a master class in nutrition, education, and social development, all rolled into one 35-minute lunch period. This is not just about feeding kids, this is about building humans. And here are the specific ways Japan's school lunch system works that make experts from other countries take notes, record videos, and wonder why nobody else has adopted this yet. Number 1. Every single meal is designed by licensed nutritionists who calculate not just calories but micronutrient balance, seasonal availability, and cultural food education goals. You walk into any public elementary school kitchen in Japan, from Hokkaido to Okinawa, and the lunch menu for that day was created by someone with a national nutrition license called Ayokai Uyu. These are not cafeteria managers or food service coordinators. These are professionals who studied nutrition science, passed national examinations, and are employed specifically to design meals that meet government nutritional standards while also teaching kids about food culture, local ingredients, and seasonal eating patterns. Each menu is mapped to specific educational outcomes. If the meal includes whale meat in coastal regions, there is a lesson about traditional fishing culture. If it features locally grown daikon radish, students learn which farms supplied it and why autumn is harvest season. The menu is not just nutrition, it is curriculum. The nutritionist creates a monthly menu plan that must hit exact targets for calories, protein, vitamins, calcium, iron, and dietary fiber based on age group. For students aged 6 to 7, that is roughly 530 calories per meal. For ages 10 to 11, it jumps to 650 calories. But it is not just hitting numbers. The meals rotate through fish, meat, tofu, beans, seaweed, and fermented foods to expose kids to the entire spectrum of Japanese cuisine and nutrition science. A typical week might include grilled mackerel with grated daikon one day, soy-braised chicken with root vegetables the next, then a tofu and vegetable stir-fry followed by salmon with miso soup and pickles. Dessert is fresh fruit, often local and seasonal. Milk is served with every meal, a policy introduced post-war to address calcium deficiency, and it has stuck for 70 years. Meanwhile, in many other countries, school lunch decisions are made by food service companies optimizing for cost and convenience, not childhood development. The idea that a licensed nutritionist would personally design every single menu every single month for every single school feels almost extravagant, but Japan treats it as non-negotiable. The question was never whether they could afford it. The question was whether they could afford not to. Number 2, students serve the food themselves, not cafeteria workers, not lunch ladies, the students. Every day, a rotating group of kids puts on white lab coats, hairnets, and face masks, then serves lunch to their entire class under the supervision of their homeroom teacher. You are 10 years old, and this week it is your turn. You arrive at school, and during fourth period, you and 5 classmates leave the classroom, wash your hands with soap for 30 seconds, put on your serving uniform, and head to the school kitchen. Large insulated containers of rice, soup, main dish, sides, and milk crates are wheeled into the hallway on metal carts. You and your team carry everything into the classroom. One student ladles soup into bowls. Another uses a rice scoop to portion exact amounts into each bowl. A third plates the main dish. A fourth distributes chopsticks and cups. A fifth handles milk cartons. You move down the rows of desks now arranged into group clusters and serve every classmate one by one. This is not a symbolic task. You are responsible for portion control, food safety, and fairness. You are learning to handle hot liquids without spilling. You are learning to count portions so nobody is left out. You are learning that food does not just appear, it is prepared and distributed through labor. And you are learning that this labor is not beneath you. There is no such thing as someone else's job when it comes to eating together. The serving uniforms are cleaned by the school and reused. The process is streamlined so students are not wasting class time. The entire serving routine, from getting dressed to distributing food to sitting down to eat, takes about 10 minutes. Teachers oversee but do not take over. If a student struggles to ladle soup evenly, the teacher coaches them. If someone forgets their mask, they go back and get it. The system assumes competence and builds it through repetition. Contrast this with cafeteria systems where students line up, point at food, receive a tray from an adult worker, and sit down. There is nothing wrong with that system, but it teaches a completely different lesson. In that system, food is a service you receive. In Japan's system, food is a responsibility you share. The difference is subtle but foundational. Number 3, everyone eats the same meal. There is no choice, no menu options, no alternatives. The meal that was designed by the nutritionist is the meal that every single student in that classroom eats, including the teacher. You do not get to swap the fish for chicken. You do not get to skip the vegetables and double up on rice. You eat what was served. The only exceptions are medical allergies, and even then, parents must provide documentation and students bring substitute items from home that match the nutritional profile as closely as possible. This is not about control for control's sake. It is about equality and food education. If some students are eating chicken nuggets while others are eating grilled fish with vinegared vegetables, the kids eating nuggets learn that unfamiliar food is optional. But when everyone, including the teacher, is eating the same grilled fish, the message is clear. This is food. This is what we eat. Try it. Teachers eat with students at the same tables, eating the exact same portions from the same insulated containers. This is not a casual detail. The teacher is modeling eating behavior. If a student wrinkles their nose at the simmered squash, they look over and see their teacher eating it calmly. If they have never tried pickled plum, they watch their classmates try it first. Peer pressure becomes peer education. The system leverages social learning instead of fighting it. There is also an explicitly stated philosophy that lunch is not a break from school. It is part of school. The Japanese term is kyushoku, and it is considered part of shokyuku, which translates to food education. The goal is not just to feed kids but to teach them how to eat, what to eat, and why it matters. You are not just consuming nutrition. You are learning culture, agriculture, gratitude, and health science all at once. In countries where students choose from multiple options or bring lunch from home, you get variety and personal preference, but you also get inequality. Some kids eat balanced meals, others eat junk. Some parents can afford fresh ingredients in bento boxes with hand-cut vegetables, others cannot. Japan eliminated that inequality by making lunch universal, identical, and nutritionally optimized. It is not about taking away choice, it is about guaranteeing a baseline. Number 4, the students clean up everything. And when I say everything, I mean they disassemble the entire meal service operation, scrape plates, sort trash, fold milk cartons, wipe tables, sweep floors, and return serving containers to the kitchen, all in under 15 minutes. You just finished eating. Your teacher says "Gachasau-sama desu hita," the phrase of gratitude said after meals, and the cleanup begins immediately. You and your classmates stack your trays. You scrape leftover food into a designated compost bin. You rinse your plate, bowl, and cup in a small wash basin set up in the classroom. You flatten your empty milk carton by unfolding it along its seams, then bundle it with others using a rubber band. You wipe down the table where you ate using a damp cloth. You push the desks back into rows. You grab a broom or dustpan and sweep the floor. The students who served that day collect all the dishes, load them back into the carts, and wheel everything back to the kitchen, where kitchen staff will finish washing and sanitizing. This entire process is choreographed. Every student has a role. There is no wandering or confusion. By second grade, this is muscle memory. The cleanup is treated with the same importance as the meal itself. It is not punishment, it is responsibility. You made a mess by eating, you clean it up. The group ate together, the group cleans together. The reasoning is educational and cultural. Japan has a long-standing cultural value called soji, which means cleaning, but it is more than that. It is about maintaining your environment, taking responsibility for shared spaces, and understanding that cleanliness is a form of respect. Cleaning your classroom after lunch is not janitorial work, it is citizenship training. Compare this to schools where students finish eating, stand up, and walk away while staff clear tables and mop floors. Again, there is nothing wrong with that system, but it teaches separation of labor. Someone else cleans up after you. In Japan, the lesson is the opposite. You clean up after yourself. No one is coming to do it for you. This starts in first grade and continues through middle school. If you are enjoying this so far, hit the like button and subscribe. It helps get videos like this to more people who care about how systems like this work. And if you want to see more ways Japan builds better systems into everyday life, subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next. Number 5, meals are cooked on-site in almost every school. There is no catering company, no industrial food service delivering pre-packaged trays. Each school has its own kitchen staffed by cooks who prepare everything from scratch that morning. You walk past the kitchen at 9 in the morning and you smell rice steaming, broth simmering, fish grilling. The kitchen staff, usually 3 to 5 people depending on school size, start work at 7 or 8 in the morning. They receive the menu plan from the nutritionist and the ingredients, which are sourced from a combination of local suppliers, and a centralized distribution system managed by the municipal government. They peel, chop, boil, grill, steam, and simmer. Everything is made in large institutional pots and steamers, but it is real cooking. The rice is washed and cooked in giant rice cookers. The soup is built from scratch using dashi stock made from kombu and bonito flakes. The vegetables are blanched or stir-fried. The fish is grilled or baked. There are no freezers full of preformed patties or bags of pre-seasoned fries. There are no microwaves reheating pre-cooked meals. If the menu says nikujaga, a Japanese meat and potato stew, the cooks are slicing potatoes, simmering pork and mixing soy sauce, mirin and sugar that morning. The food is served hot within 2 hours of cooking in insulated containers that keep safe temperatures until students serve themselves. This system requires infrastructure. Every school built in Japan since the program began in 1954 includes a full kitchen with industrial equipment, ventilation, refrigeration, and sanitation stations. It also requires trained staff. The cooks are employed by the city or prefecture, and they follow strict food safety protocols including temperature checks, hygiene inspections, and contamination prevention measures. Milk and ingredient deliveries are checked and logged. Surfaces are sanitized between tasks. If there is ever a foodborne illness outbreak, the source can be traced within hours because every school keeps detailed logs of ingredients, suppliers, and prep procedures. Other countries often outsource school lunch to private companies that optimize for cost and scale. Meals are cooked in centralized facilities, packaged, refrigerated, or frozen, then reheated on site. It is efficient, it is cheaper, but it also means the food travels farther, sits longer, and loses the educational component of students smelling their lunch being cooked in their own building. Japan chose the harder, more expensive path because the benefits were not just nutritional. They were sensory, educational, and cultural. Number 6, every meal comes with a detailed printout that goes home to parents explaining what was served, why it was served, and what nutrients it provided. This printout is called the Chinese letter, or Kondate Hayu, the menu schedule chart. It is distributed at the beginning of each month and lists every single meal for every single day, but it is not just a menu. Each item on the list includes nutritional data, calorie count, ingredient sources, and often a small educational note. If the meal includes hajiki, a type of seaweed, the note explains that hajiki is rich in calcium and iron and has been eaten in Japan for centuries. If there is a dish featuring sweet potato, the note might mention which region of Japan is famous for growing it and why autumn is peak season. Parents read this at home. They know exactly what their child is eating every day. They can coordinate dinner to complement lunch. If lunch was fish-heavy, they might make a vegetable-focused dinner. If lunch included dairy and greens, they might add more protein at home. This level of transparency eliminates the mystery. You are not guessing what your kid ate. You know the exact menu, the exact portions, and the exact reasoning. Some schools take it further and include photos of the finished meal on the printout so parents can visualize what their child is eating. Others include recipes so families can recreate the meal at home. The goal is to extend food education beyond school. Lunch is not an isolated event. It is part of a larger conversation about food that includes the nutritionist, the cooks, the teachers, the students, and the parents. In countries where school lunch is outsourced or optional, parents might receive a general menu or a list of available options, but the specificity is not there. You know pizza was available. You do not know if your child ate it, what was on it, or whether it met any nutritional standard. Japan closes that loop. Everyone is informed. Everyone is involved. Number 7. The cost is astonishingly low and subsidized by the government. Parents pay a monthly fee that covers only the ingredients. Depending on the city, this ranges from roughly 3,000 to 5,000 yen per month, which is about 20 to 35 US dollars. That is less than $1.50 per meal. The cost of labor, kitchen facilities, utilities, and equipment is covered by municipal and national education budgets. The parent fee is legally capped and cannot be raised without government approval. For families facing financial hardship, the fee is reduced or waived entirely through a welfare program called Chinese letter, or Shugaku Enjo, school attendance assistance. This means that every child, regardless of family income, eats the same high-quality, nutritionally designed meal every single day. There is no stigma, there is no lunch debt, there is no separation between kids who can afford lunch and kids who cannot. The system is universal, and universality is the point. The food is funded as a public good, the same way textbooks and teachers are funded. Japan decided in the 1950s, when the country was recovering from war and poverty, that feeding schoolchildren was not optional, it was infrastructure, and that decision has held for 70 years. When budget cuts are discussed, school lunch is rarely on the table. It is protected the same way compulsory education is protected. Contrast this with countries where school lunch is treated as a family expense or a cafeteria service. Costs vary wildly. Some parents pay $7 per meal, others pack lunch. Others qualify for free or reduced price lunch, but the application process can be complicated, stigmatizing, or inconsistent. Japan eliminated all of that by making the system universal, affordable, and transparent from day one. Number 8. Students are taught to say thanks before and after every meal. Before eating, everyone in the classroom says together Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, Japanese letter, or itadakimasu, which roughly translates to I humbly receive this food. After eating, they say Japanese letter, 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 or Gachusou-sama desu, which means thank you for the meal. These are not just polite phrases. They are expressions of gratitude directed at the food itself, the people who prepared it, the farmers who grew it, and the animals or plants that gave their lives to become the meal. Teachers explain this explicitly to young students. You are not just eating, you are receiving something that required labor, resources, and sacrifice. The rice in your bowl was planted, grown, harvested, milled, transported, and cooked. The fish on your plate was caught, cleaned, and grilled. Dozens of people and processes made this meal possible. You acknowledge that, you respect that. This practice roots every meal in gratitude, not just consumption. Students are not grabbing food and eating mindlessly. They are pausing, reflecting, and saying thank you out loud as a group. It is a 5-second ritual. But it reframes eating as something communal and intentional. You are not eating alone. You are eating with others, and together you are recognizing the effort and resources that made the meal possible. In countries where meals are grabbed on the go or eaten while looking at phones, this kind of collective gratitude sounds almost old-fashioned. But Japan never let it go. It is built into the school day, and by the time students graduate, saying thanks before and after eating is automatic. It is not about religion. It is about respect, mindfulness, and social cohesion. You eat together, you thank together. It is one more way the lunch system teaches something beyond nutrition. Number 9. Regional and seasonal foods are deliberately rotated into the menu to teach kids about agriculture and food cycles. If you go to school in Hokkaido in the winter, your lunch might include salmon and root vegetables that are native to the region. If you go to school in Kyushu in the spring, you might get bamboo shoots and local greens. The nutritionist designing the menu is required to incorporate locally sourced ingredients whenever possible, and the monthly menu printout explains where the food came from and why it is in season. This is called Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, or Chissen Kisho, which means local production for local consumption. It is both an educational philosophy and an economic one. Students learn that food is not a product that appears in a store. It is grown in fields, caught in oceans, and tied to the seasons. They learn which foods are available in which months. They learn the names of local farms and fishing co-ops, and they learn to eat in rhythm with the environment, not against it. The system also supports local agriculture. Schools source ingredients from regional suppliers, which keeps money circulating in the local economy and gives farmers a stable institutional buyer. In rural areas, this can be a significant part of a farm's revenue. In urban areas, schools sometimes partner with nearby farms to supply specific crops, creating direct relationships between students and the people who grow their food. Some schools take it even further. Students visit the farms that supply their ingredients. They plant rice in the spring, harvest it in the fall, and then eat that exact rice in their school lunch months later. The loop is closed. You are not just eating rice. You are eating the rice you planted, watered, and harvested with your own hands. This level of food education, embedded directly into the lunch system, transforms the meal into something far more meaningful than calories. It is a daily lesson in ecology, economics, culture, and gratitude. Number 10. Teachers eat with students and use the meal as a teaching moment. The homeroom teacher sits down with the class, eats the exact same food, and talks while eating. They might explain where a particular vegetable comes from, why fermented foods are good for digestion, or how to hold chopsticks properly. They might share memories of eating similar dishes as children. They might ask students to describe the flavors they are tasting or to notice the textures. Lunch is not a break from teaching. It is a different kind of teaching. This is formalized in the national curriculum. The teacher is expected to use lunch as an opportunity for Chinese letter, or shokyuku food education. Topics can include nutrition science, table manners, cultural history, or environmental sustainability. The lesson is informal, conversational, and embedded in the act of eating together, but it is still a lesson. The teacher is not supervising lunch, they are teaching through lunch. Because the teacher eats the same meal, they also model eating behavior. If a student is hesitant to try the simmered burdock root, the teacher eats it first and describes the taste. If someone is eating too quickly, the teacher slows down and shows how to pace a meal. If someone is playing with their food, the teacher redirects without shamming. The authority figure is not standing apart watching, they are participating. This approach also builds relationships. Eating together is one of the most social, vulnerable human activities. When teachers eat with students, they become more relatable. Students see them as whole people, not just authority figures. Conversations that happen during lunch, talking about favorite foods or childhood memories, create connection and trust that carry over into academic instruction. Compare this to schools where teachers eat separately in staff lounges or take lunch duty as a supervisory task, walking the cafeteria with a clipboard. The dynamic is completely different. In those systems, lunch is managed. In Japan, lunch is shared. Number 11. There is no junk food, no soda, no candy, and no vending machines in elementary schools. The school lunch is the only food students are expected to eat during school hours. If a student finishes lunch and is still hungry, they can request a second helping of rice or vegetables if there is extra. But there is no snack bar, no chips, no cookies, no juice boxes. The default assumption is that the nutritionist designed meal is sufficient, balanced, and complete. This eliminates the junk food problem entirely. Students do not develop the habit of eating processed snacks during the school day because those snacks are not available. Their taste preferences are shaped by what they are exposed to, and what they are exposed to is whole foods, seasonal ingredients, and traditional Japanese cooking. By the time they reach middle school and high school, where vending machines and convenience stores become accessible, they have spent 6 years eating meals that were nutritionally optimized and culturally rooted. The absence of junk food is not enforced through bans or punishment. It is structural. The system simply does not include it. There is no store, there is no vending machine. There is lunch, and lunch is real food. This is a much stronger intervention than telling students not to eat junk food while making it available. Japan removed the temptation entirely, at least during school hours. This approach also reduces inequality. In schools where students can buy snacks or drinks, kids with more money have more options. Kids without money watch other kids eat things they cannot afford. Japan eliminated that dynamic by making the meal universal and making everything else unavailable. Number 12. The system has been studied, documented, and replicated in pilot programs in countries including the United States, France, South Korea, and Brazil. Researchers and nutritionists visit Japanese schools, film the lunch process, interview staff, and take detailed notes on everything from portion sizes to cleanup protocols. Some return home and launch small-scale programs modeled on Japan's system. A school district in Texas tested student-led serving and cleanup. A city in France introduced the idea of a monthly menu printout with nutritional education. A school in Sao Paulo began having teachers eat with students at the same table. These pilot programs work. Students engage more with the food, they waste less, they develop better eating habits and social skills. But most pilots do not scale. The barriers are structural. Implementing the Japanese system requires trained nutritionists, on-site kitchens, government funding, teacher participation, and cultural buy-in. It requires treating lunch as education, not just as food service. Most countries are not set up for that. The food service industry is privatized. School budgets are tight, teachers are stretched thin, the infrastructure does not exist. But the fact that experts keep visiting, studying, and trying tells you something. This system works. It is not just working in Japan because Japan is unique. It is working because the design is sound. Feed every child the same high-quality meal. Teach them to serve, clean, and eat together. Involve teachers, educate parents, root the meal in culture, season, and gratitude. These are not mysterious principles. They are replicable. The question is not whether other countries can do it. The question is whether they will choose to. Number 13. The program is protected by national law. The School Lunch Act, passed in 1954 and updated multiple times since, mandates that every public elementary and junior high school provide lunch as part of the educational program. The law specifies that meals must meet national nutritional standards, that schools must employ or contract licensed nutritionists, and that lunch must include food education as part of the curriculum. This is not a policy that can be quietly defunded or canceled by a new administration. It is law. The legal framework also defines what qualifies as a school lunch. It must be a complete meal, not a snack or a supplement. It must be served to all students equally. It must be prepared in sanitary conditions under government inspection. Schools that fail to meet these standards face government intervention and potential loss of funding. The law treats school lunch the way it treats compulsory education. It is a right, not a privilege. This legal protection is why the system has lasted 70 years without major disruption. Administrations change, budgets tighten, priorities shift, but the School Lunch Act remains, and with it the infrastructure, the funding, and the expectations. Japan decided in 1954 that feeding schoolchildren was a national responsibility. That decision became law, and the law has held. Number 14. Students learn that food is not infinite and waste is unacceptable. Portion sizes are calculated carefully based on age and nutritional needs, and students are expected to eat what they are served. If there is food left over after everyone has been served, students can request seconds, but they must finish what is on their plate first. If a student cannot finish their meal, they are encouraged to try, but they are not forced. However, throwing away uneaten food is treated as a serious matter. The teacher will ask why the student could not finish. Was the portion too large? Was the student feeling unwell? Did they simply not like it? This questioning is not punitive. It is diagnostic. The system wants to understand why food is being wasted so it can be addressed. If many students are leaving a particular dish uneaten, the nutritionist revisits the recipe or the portion size. If a student is consistently unable to finish meals, the school may contact parents to discuss health or appetite issues. Waste is tracked, and schools report waste data to municipal education boards. High waste rates trigger investigation. The cultural message is clear: food is valuable, throwing it away is not casual. You are expected to take only what you will eat and to eat what you take. This is reinforced by the cleanup process. When you scrape your plate into the compost bin, you see how much you wasted. It is visible, it is measured, it is not hidden in a trash bag that disappears. In countries where cafeteria waste is common and unremarked upon, students learn that uneaten food is no big deal. Someone will throw it away. In Japan, students learn the opposite. Food waste is a failure, not a moral failure, but a system failure that should be minimized. The lesson is taught daily without lectures, simply through structure and expectation. Number 15. The entire system is designed to teach students that eating together is a social and civic act, not just a biological one. Lunch is not fuel, it is connection. You are eating the same food as your classmates. You are serving them. You are cleaning up with them. You are saying thanks together. You are learning where the food came from and why it matters. You are being taught that food is culture, health, labor, gratitude, and community all at once. This is the quiet brilliance of the system. It is not flashy. It is not high-tech. It is soup, rice, fish, and vegetables served in a classroom by 10-year-olds. But those 10-year-olds are learning something that will shape the rest of their lives. They are learning that they are part of something larger than themselves, that their actions affect others, that shared responsibility creates shared benefit, that food is not a product to consume but a gift to receive with gratitude and respect. Japan did not need to build the school lunch system this way. They could have done what many countries do: outsource it, make it optional, let parents pack lunches or let kids buy what they want. It would have been cheaper and simpler, but Japan chose the harder path. They chose to treat lunch as education. And 70 years later, the system is still running, still teaching, and still being studied by experts who visit from around the world just to watch students in white coats serve miso soup to their classmates and clean up afterward like it is the most natural thing in the world. If you want to see more ideas like this, hit the like button, subscribe, and check out the video on your screen for more ways Japan builds better systems into everyday life.